I'm Talia Bugel. I'm a linguist and I specialize in Hispanic linguistics. And inside the field of linguistics, I study the area of sociolinguistics. And that means how we interact with language and how our social surroundings and our cultural background has an influence in language, in how language changes. So I have been studying the contact between Portuguese and Spanish in South America, specifically in Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay. And what I have been looking at is how the different preconceptions that we as speakers have about the other language, and not only the language, but also the people who speak that other language. Our preconceptions about the people who speak other languages impacts the way we learn that language, or also whether we choose to learn that language or not. So there are many different extra-linguistic factors, that is social and cultural, that influence how languages get in contact, how they get apart, how they influence each other. So in the case of what I do with the contact of Spanish and Portuguese, it is contextualized in the last 21 years of regional integration. So I have been studying how Portuguese is taught in the Spanish-speaking countries that are neighbors of Brazil, how Spanish is taught in Brazil, and how the different levels of acceptance by the people who are going to learn that language vary according to extra-linguistic factors. And I am so interested in that area, which is the area of language attitudes and language policy and how languages are learned, that now recently I have been focusing on that on campus, since our campus is becoming so much more diverse, and we can really walk around campus and hear different languages and see different people from different cultural backgrounds. I decided to collect attitudes toward foreign languages on campus. That will help us get to know each other much more, because there are different ways of measuring attitudes. Some of them are very direct, as asking a person what's your favorite language. There are other ways of measuring attitudes that are more implicit. So we can also bridge the gap between what I think and what I feel, and how my feelings and many ideas that I have but that I'm not aware of are influencing my attitudes, and how all that impacts how am I going to make progress in my learning of that other language and of that other culture. So that is one area that I'm very interested in. I have also gone into looking at how those attitudes impact the maintenance of Spanish as a minority language. So again, my own preconceptions regarding my own language and how my own language is considered by speakers of another language will determine whether I use that language in public with other people who also speak it, or do I just speak English when I'm in public and I reserve Spanish just for the private sphere. And especially with what we call heritage speakers of a language, who are the children who have one language at home and another language in the community. How is that maintained? So I am currently working on a maintenance of Spanish as a heritage language in the Midwest, because it is an area that is not the typical one where you would expect to have Spanish. Where we generally think of Spanish in the Southwest, in California, Texas, Arizona, in Florida, in New York, or in the Midwest, in Chicago. But here we are in a non-metropolitan area, so it's a very interesting geographical area to look at Spanish as a heritage language. So that is my current work. And regarding my teaching, I discovered only 4 years ago service learning, and I found that service learning is the ideal methodology or way of delivery for a translation class. So I'm originally a translator, and I teach Spanish translation here at IPFW. I do it with the service learning modality. Our community partner for the first 2 sections of the translation class has been Abbott Elementary School. We translated and interpreted at parent-teacher conferences, and that was an excellent experience, both for the students at IPFW and for the families who have their children at Abbott. And some of the students are so excited about service learning that now students that aren't taking the translation class are asking to do service learning, and that is wonderful. So I currently have a student in a 4th semester of Spanish who is doing service learning because he wants to, as something else that he wants to do. And so we decided to do it more formally as an honors project. And then there is another student who did take the Spanish translation class and loved it so much that now he's doing service learning for another class. So that is something that I really wish I can go on doing, and that I could do with more colleagues. We're still a small group doing it, but hopefully it will spread more.